Greets peeps and welcome back to the tutorial, the Wells 2.71 Wells tutorial with no DLC. Let's have a look at creating a new nation, a new species. As we can see in this window, there's all sorts of default species in here with different government types. Whole list of the ones that you've created. They'll propagate. They'll fill out this area here, and when they're unavailable, you'll get a little pop-up like that. We can see that we do have one that's available at the moment. Those guys. We've chosen all things that do fall into the base game, and this is one of my more standard setups, I think. So it's good to know that that's available to everyone from the jump. So we'll click create new and we'll make a new species, create a new empire even. We're going to, we can see that there's things locked behind DLCs. We can actually go in and check out what they look like though, that's cool. Didn't used to be that way. Oh my boys. So we're going to make I want to be mushroom folk. Where's our mushrooms at? Where are my mushrooms at? There's going to be the Tutorion. Tutorians. And it works it out for me. Nice. I don't have to think. Tutorians are mushroom people. Let's click next. Tutorial names. Oh, we can add prefixes for our ships as well. I don't want a prefix. I wonder if that will work. Yep, good. It isn't. Isn't required. And we're going to be plants and our... Yep. They look vaguely mushroom name-ish. None of that stuff is important. Oh, one thing I didn't mention is that you can add in a biography for your species if you like. I've never yet done that. Yeah, the name types kind of carry across through your leader names, your ship names, and your fleet names. But it's not something you really end up paying a great deal of attention to in the game. Now, traits. Most empires, the most important things about empires, that's not true. I was going to say that traits and ethics are the most important part of empires. There's a little bit more to it nowadays. That was the case for the longest time, but now we've got origins, which are a very important part as well, and homeworlds are less so, but they add flavor. So at the moment we've got the default continental world. We'll be changing that soon when we get to our origin. But for the moment, let's look at our traits. We can see that we have a total of 5 picks or variables left, and we have 2 trait points available to us at the beginning. There are traits on here which will subtract from our trait points left. We've only got 2 at the beginning, so if we wanted to be Agrarian, that would consume all of our trait points. There are negative traits which add to our trait points pool, and for this run through I intend to keep this one run through so that I can show you various things within this one species and their game that they play. We're going to go with non-adaptive. I don't mind that. That means that we'll get a... This is a good time to go through these. Non-adaptive means that we'll get a penalty on any planet that we settle that reduces the habitability bonuses for that planet. Having very good habitability of a planet means that you're going to use less housing, you're going to create extra resources from your population. That's a short summation of it. There's more to it. Other negative traits include slow breeders. Means, I mean, that's quite obvious. Your population is going to grow slower by 10% than others. Let's choose that as well, because why not? And what you'll see is that we are actually using up our trait picks. So we'll leave it at those two for the moment. And what we'll do is we'll look for some positive traits. We should go through the rest of the negative traits. Slow learners prevents your leaders from learning as quickly as they might. I don't like that one. The bonuses that your leaders give you are very nice and change their utility quite a lot. So I'm not a huge fan of that one. I mean, neither of these are great either, in fairness. This is basically a penalty on everything that all of your population does all of the time. And this is a penalty on how numerous your population who do all of these things for you are going to be. So these both suck as well. But that's fine. I want to add some more variation to our empire, to our species, so we're going to go with that. Quarrelsome reduces unity. That's in the base game not a huge deal. Unity is great, but it's not the most important thing. Unruly is one I regularly choose. So I'm actually going to choose Unruly. Unruly can be counted by one building. You need one building per planet, and it completely removes the penalty that we get. So I think we're going to go that way. I like my population breeding fast, so we're going to remove that one and have Unruly instead. Other ones we've got is weak, so we do less army damage, which is a pain in the butt, and our worker pops do less resource output, and that is a pain in the butt also. That's probably worse. It's strange that non-adaptive is worth 2 points and weak is worth only 1 point. The way these trait points work is... Yeah, I genuinely would put weak as bad as non-adaptive, given that to take over new planets you always need to use an army to do it. Sorry, to take over populated planets or take planets off other species, you're going to need an army to do it, and to have to build an extra 20% of them, is that the right maths? Yeah. To have to build 20% more of them is a pain in the butt. And then the ongoing constant worker resource output reduction, no good. Sedentary, that's not so terrible. Resettlement is something that only some species can do anyway, so you can choose that one. Often it's just a gimme if you build in a different way. If you build in a certain way, sometimes that can be completely useful to you. Population growth from immigration is a pain, but it's not the worst thing in the world. Solitary, I hate housing usage, so I avoid it, but it's not terrible. Repugnant amenities means amenities are things used to keep your population happy, so it's similar to non-adaptive. I guess you could argue it's similar to Unruly as well. Amenities keep your population happy, and a happy population create more and are less likely to cause trouble on a planet. Deviance, governing ethics attraction. I regularly choose that when I need one point. It just means that you're less likely to get one of the resources. One of the harder to get resources. I guess it's not great. Fleeting means that your leaders are more likely to die early. I don't like that. I like my leaders to be amazing. And decadent means that unless they've got slaves, they get grumpy. Actually, I think that may be different now. Okay, so what it means is that the bottom tier of your population pyramid are going to always be grumpy, and that means they do less work, and it means they're more likely to cause trouble, and it means that they are just basically going to be a pain. So in a similar way to deviance, there's things you can do to mitigate the problems, but they're a bit of a pain. And the last negative trait is wasteful. We need to create more consumer goods, similar to unruly and to which one was it? And repugnant. It means you need to build more buildings. It means you need to waste building slots. Not great. But considering that wasteful is -1, yeah, I guess they're all much of a muchness. Those three are very similar because that only gives you 10%, 10%. I think unruly is probably at this stage, or at least the way it feels to me, unruly is probably the most point-effective negative trait. Non-adaptive, less so, but I feel like having a total of 6 points to play with. So, those are negative traits. We'll go into the traits a lot further later on. We'll have a look when we're doing some genetic engineering. That's part of this game, and genetic engineering allows you to change your species traits. And so that's always a good. That'll be a good place inside the game to examine it a bit further. The positive traits that we've got here are all explained via the pop-ups on the left. Sorry, not the pop-ups, the info windows on the left. We've got extra food, extra energy, extra minerals, extra research, extra trade, extra engineering research. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a research-heavy species. So we're going to go for intelligence, which will give us a bonus to all of our research techs, and we're going to go for engineering because engineering, in my experience, is the most useful. Engineering allows for things like your ship types. You've got 5, 6 ship types basically in the game, and engineering allows access to 5 of them. Engineering allows access to different sized star bases, which allow for a whole bunch of stuff which is very useful to you, and it allows for faster ships. Engineering is just my favorite branch of tech, basically. Physics allows for different types of weapons and shields, amongst a bunch of other stuff, including research bonuses itself. So it's also great. And sociology, probably my least favorite research trait, but it does allow for faster population growth, for more effective for more effective for larger fleets to be built, I guess, for your leaders to learn more quickly. Yeah, they're all good, but engineering is my absolute favorite. So we're going to go for engineering. And now we're down to 3 points. So what else are we going to do? I like the idea of rapid breeders. That means our population grows more quickly. It means we can spread our people out more regularly. We maybe don't need that. What we'll do, we'll go for one of my standard. We're down to only one trait point. One trait pick left. Okay. So let's go for very strong. Very strong is the only one that has 3 points. 4 points for venerable is a nice one that I regularly choose because I like it. That means our leaders live a lot longer. But yeah, we'll go for strong. For very strong. So very strong is going to increase our army damage, which I like. It means I have to build less of them, and that they're going to survive better because they're going to murder the enemy. And worker population resource output. Base tier output of all of our workers is going to be increased by 5%. So I like that. One thing I've considered for a long time, and I imagine there's probably mods but I haven't looked, is that I think this game would be made better by exaggerating all of these traits a lot more. I want to be woefully able to live on any planet. I want to be a species who is busted and genetically extremely lucky to exist, but awful, regardless of where it lives. I want to have a species that is totally unruly. I want my people to be constantly at war with themselves, and I want my people to be super geniuses. Basically, I'd love to see all of these exaggerated, or have a slider that allowed you to exaggerate all of these effects. I may look at making a mod that does that. Not that I'm a modder, but I do have an idea of how some of these things work. Anywho, let's go through these. So Agrarian, food, energy, minerals, all base tier resources. All of these are improved by our very strong, so if we wanted to boost any of these even further. Actually, I don't know that very strong carries 2 energy credits. I think it does. But it's kind of strange. Energy credits is a bit strange. It certainly doesn't carry 2 trade. Trade is a passive income that basically gives you energy, but can also be changed with policies to do different things. Let's go down to extremely adaptive. So where we're non-adaptive, extremely adaptive means that they can live most anywhere, and that's pretty cool. I use it sometimes. It means that you can start spreading a lot earlier than you might otherwise. It means that you're going to be able to inhabit planets that other species won't be able to for a long time. So you're having people on that planet, and those people breeding and making more people is a very powerful tool. Adaptive is the inverse of what we've got. It gives you a lighter version of extremely adaptive. Rapid breeders makes us breed more quickly, means more people. More people means more production, more output. It's very good. Slow breeding, the opposite. Talented means that talented is a strange one. There's a natural cap of level 10 within the game, and you can hit that cap with technologies in the game. So I've always felt like talented is a bit of a wasted pick, but early on it's useful. So it's strange. I don't really like the way that leaders and level caps work. I think removing level caps would make talented a very cool pick and worth doing quite regularly. But given that they stop at 10 for reasons I can't explain, it's I think talented isn't a great pick. Quick learners allows your leaders to hit those caps quicker, but also allows them to skip through levels more quickly. And every time a leader skips through a level or gets a new level, it has a percentage chance of learning a new trait, and the new traits can be really powerful. Also can suck, but basically, and each time you level up, you have passive effects as well. So your leaders leveling up quickly is really cool. I like it, and I regularly choose that one. Slow learners, the opposite, and I rarely choose it. Traditional, we get extra unity. I sometimes choose that if I've got a spare point. Quarrelsome, sometimes choose that if I want an extra point. Unity boosts are powerful, but and they do change the way the game is played. Yep, I just tend to let unity happen when it happens. I'm more interested in technology and in resource output than I am in Unity usually. But certain builds you may want to go for Unity, and that's how you do it. Docile is the opposite to unruly. It means that you need to build less of a certain type of building, and I don't think I've chosen it yet since it's been added. Strong is a weaker version of what we have, and weak is the negative version of strong. Nomadic, opposite of sedentary, in that we get extra population, and it's cheaper for us to move our population between planets. The cost of moving population, it's so low that once you've it is always objectively so low that I don't see how useful that resettlement cost reduction or addition is. It doesn't seem a big thing to me. It's a strange choice. The immigration growth, though, is a passive population growth or passive population growth reduction, so that has some use. Population housing reduction, yep, that's cool. I sometimes choose it. And solitary population usage increase, sometimes use it. Don't make a huge difference. Once we get into some of the planet side concepts, we can re-examine those. Charismatic and repugnant. Amenities boost, amenities reduction. Amenities are created in one type of building, basically. Or, yeah, that's kind of true. And so it's similar to unruly in its game effect. Conformist, I should say that amenities, if you have a surplus of amenities, you make your people happy. When your people are happy, they produce more. So I guess it's... yeah, maybe I think repugnant would be slightly stronger, a slightly stronger penalty than unruly is. I think. Conformists are... that's a tricky concept to explain, but there's a concept called influence, and government ethics attraction. It is will boost your unity your influence output. This will reduce your influence output. It can also cause I think that's a good enough summation, that it negatively affects your influence, and influence is super important. Venerable and enduring, your leaders will die. They will die of natural causes, and the older they get, the more likely they are to die. And when they die, it's a pain. So enduring and venerable are both great picks. I use them regularly. Venerable less so because it's so expensive. For the sake of us having very strong species who are good engineers, we could have our leaders live 80 years longer. It's a big cost, but an extra 20 years is really nice. An extra 20 years of lifetime for our leaders is cool. Fleeting, yep, it's a pain in the butt, but it is a pick that I will sometimes choose early on, particularly if I've done other things. There's other stuff that can come into it, so maybe I'll... you can have it early on, and then because it only costs one, you can fix that with genetics, or reverse it with genetic training. I choose that sometimes, fairly regularly. Decadent just means that slaves and workers are unhappy. Oh, sorry, we've already gone through the negative ones, so I can skip that. Your bottom tier people are grumpy, and that causes trouble. and they produce less. Defensive army damage, I've never picked Resilient. I think it would be useful in multiplayer games, but I've never yet picked it, because if my planets are getting attacked, I've done something wrong. If my planets are being invaded, rather, I'm doing something wrong. It's the strangest trait, and I don't think it makes no sense. Conservationist, opposite to Wasteful, in that our consumer good consumption is down, and it's useful. I'll pick it up sometimes, depending on the kind of. It feels like one of the more playing kind of choices, but it's useful. It's very similar to Unruly in that you need consumer goods, but I guess you can trade for consumer goods. You can buy consumer goods, where you can't buy Empire, you can't buy admin efficiency, or you can't pay money to reduce Empire sprawl. So it makes sense that it would be cheaper, I suppose. Along similar lines, though, I think that isn't a great deal weaker than that, but we get 2 points. Sorry, that isn't a great deal more disadvantageous than is this. So I think Unruly is still a good pick for cost. So those are the traits. Let's move on. There's a lot more to them. We'll examine them in later detail, but those are the traits. The name and the class of a planet. In your own time. That was weird. I've never yet entered one of these. Yep, that's good. I'll keep randoming until I like it. And the type of planet that we choose really doesn't matter. The number of planets of each of these planets is spread uniformly, or is at least is randomized across any new game that you begin. So choosing a particular planet type won't have any effect. For the longest time I thought that Continental was the most common. It's not. It just felt like that, because the only planets that you notice when you're playing as a species with continental preference are these planets. So choose whatever you happen to like. What makes the most sense for mushrooms is going to be slightly damp. Or tropical, though. Yeah, we'll go for tropical. I can see mushrooms going better on a tropical world, and that's the entire depth of that. This the starting solar system similarly does it. Oh, hang on. Huh. Okay, so that's changing one of our origins. I didn't know that was in here until now. Or that. Huh. Cool. Alright, so this is to do with the origins. We'll have a look at those when we get to them, but we're just going to choose random. Solar system allows you to start on our solar system. Deneb system is is the Commonwealth of Man starting solar system. I can't even. It's been so long since I've chosen that I can't remember how it looks. But it doesn't make a great deal of difference. You're always going to get much the same stuff within your starting system anyway. City appearance, completely visual. We mushroom people, we live in a fungoid city, so our city is going to look like that. What I'd also like, another mod I'd really like, is with all of this beautiful artwork bigger. I really like this art. Origins. Okay. We're missing a bunch of origins in here. the DLC adds a lot of origins, apparently. Alright, but let's have a look at these. Prosperous Unification. This is the most common one. You've got 4 more people on your planet, and you've got 2 extra districts. We don't know what districts are yet, but they're useful, and they provide jobs to people, and they provide base resources. So we could go with that. Galactic Doorstep means we've got a dormant gateway in our home system. I've only chosen this once since it's come out, and it means that we've got a gateway which is connected to which can be connected to all other gateways in our home system. As for exactly what it does, I don't know. I've played it and it was fun and I remember enjoying it, but I didn't pay enough attention to it to be able to describe exactly what it does. We have a bunch of events that happen that are related to our gateway in our system, but as to whether it's better or worse than an extra 4 people and 2 districts at the beginning of the game, my guess would be that it's worse. I think we ended up getting gateway technology slightly quicker than other species do, but I don't think it was much quicker. In fact, you know what? We're going to choose that one for this run through because it fits in nicely with our technology boost. The reason our mushroom people, the reason the Tutorians are so into research and engineering is because what the hell is this giant galactic gateway doing in our system? Lost Colony has makes you start off as an offshoot of a larger and advanced species. In my experience, the species is the same as they look the same as you, and the traits are similar to you, but not identical. So, while it feels like this lends itself to your thinking that you'll have an ally out there, you won't necessarily have an ally out there. They may be an ally, but they may also hate you, depending on which way their traits go. So, which way the change in traits go. So, it's interesting. And they are more technologically advanced, but not much, from what I've seen at least. Or maybe I'm just really, really good at this game and caught up really quick. Yeah, it's fun. It's fun. I like it. So, yeah, 3 options are that you're making more stuff, you've got more people. You've got a gateway and it does something, and maybe it'll give you some boost to your gateway research. Or you've got a big brother out there who may hate you or may like you. We're going to go with the gateway one because I want to be able to explain that better to you as we go through. Governments and ethics. This is the second most important part of the creation process. The traits, super important, and the government type that you take that will give you bonuses and penalties, second most important. So we've gone for people who are very good at research, and our base workers have a good resource output. Our workers have good resource output. So what we can look to do here is we can choose some of these that will augment those bonuses. They'll make them better. They'll multiply those bonuses further. Or we can look to try to pick up some ethics that pick up the weak points that give us bonuses in places we don't already have bonuses. What I'm going to do is I'm going to choose one here which will allow us to research faster, immediately, and will allow us to, when we get robot technology, have cheaper robots. So Materialist, this is one of my favorite ones. I like research in the game. I like making sure my tech is ahead of everyone else. So we'll go for that one. And this Authoritarian over here would also gel. That would work with our worker pop resource output We've already got a bonus because we're very strong. Yeah. I'm going to go for these three. This will give us extra influence. That will give us extra research. That will give us extra worker output. That will give us cheaper robots. This will make it cheaper for us to expand. Oh. The game has changed a lot. Previously, what these used to do was give you more influence, super useful. Give you better worker output, super cool. And these are stronger. These cost 2 of your ethics points, and increase the bonuses and penalties further, or the requirements as opposed to requirements, I guess. Requirements / penalties further, and cost 2 ethics points. But the ethics, they used to be straight penalties and bonuses to your species, but now, with the way that federations work, they feel a lot more important. And so my gut instinct was to choose xenophobe, but xenophobe causes quite... It makes it quite a bit harder to form federations, and federations are so strong. Basically, if you're not in a federation or a absolute behemoth, you're gonna have a bad time. And so I feel like xenophobe is a particularly tough choice at the moment. But it's really good. We're going to choose it. It's going to make things more difficult for us, but I'm going to choose that. I was going to go for that because I like having strong fleets. But these two gel really well together. I like having extra influence output, and I like having reduced starbase influence cost. Because starbases, the cost for starbases, which are your method of expansion, are primarily alloys and influence. It's a super important resource to have. So I think we'll go this way. But we should go through and describe all of the different ethics. So authoritarian, we're totalitarian basically, or we are authoritarian. It means that we have extra influence and extra worker output. It means that we can expand more quickly, and we have more stuff to expand with. No, we have more stuff. More resources, more base resources. Spiritualist gives us a bonus to Unity. As I said before, I'm not a huge Unity fan, in game or in real life, and the edict cost reduction. It sucks. That's a terrible bonus. Edicts last 20 years, and so a reduction of 5%. Nah, not worth it. I almost never choose Spiritualist except for roleplay reasons. Militarist, claims reduction 10%. That's great. That means more that you need to spend less influence to put claims on your neighbors and steal their stuff. Superb. And ship fire rate plus 10. Great. I like it. It's fun. It's good. It's great. The no retreat war doctrine, not very good. Oh, the temple building and no full AI rights, both a pain in the butt for spiritualists. And stratified economy, that's pretty cool. Enslaving aliens, that's pretty cool. And cannot use democratic government, that sucks. But we'll get around it. Xenophobe. Oh, sorry. Xenophobe allows us to build star bases more cheaply and our population to grow more quickly. Both great. Both superb. Purging aliens, good. We can kick them out of our planets if we like. We can enslave aliens, great. If there's a particular race, that would be great to only act as slaves if they're... I guess that doesn't really gel too well with us. We're already strong. We're already very strong. So it's always going to make sense to us to have... Hang on, did I get very strong? I think I did, didn't I? Now I'm rethinking that. Because if we're going to be xenophobes and have robots, having our base population doing the grunt work doesn't make much sense when we could enslave aliens and have them do our work for us. Okay, I'm changing it. On the fly, we're going to be militarists instead. Slightly different angle, but that's cool. So purging aliens means kicking them out of your systems, out of your empire. That's useful. Enslaving aliens, that's useful because you can make them do all the grunt work, even though they would ordinarily try and do other stuff. Decreased opinion for other species. It's a big penalty. It makes things tricky. Makes forming alliance blocks tricky. No full citizenship for aliens. Yeah, that's a pain. And no full military service for aliens. That's also a pain. No refugee welcome. Not so much. That's not a big deal, really. But refugees welcome can be really useful for growing your population quickly if there's someone naughty out there. We'll get to them later. Actually, that might not be in this. There's certain types of species that will... certain types of empires and species that will, by their very nature, force all other species out of territory that they conquer. And so refugees welcome can see your population grow insanely quickly, and it's a very powerful thing. So I guess that's one reason not to choose it. Egalitarian gives you a bonus to... gives you a bonus to faction influence gain, and I love influence. And it also gives you a specialist pop resource output bonus, and I love specialist pop resource output. But our species is very strong. No, we'll stay there. We'll keep that. We're getting passive bonus to our influence anyway, so that should be fine. Materialist, we've already discussed. Pacifist. I very rarely choose pacifist. It means you're not allowed to do unrestricted wars, and I like unrestricted wars. I like being able to declare on my neighbors whenever I have some claims. But unrestricted wars prevents you from putting claims on your enemies. But the AI always attacks you anyway at some point, so there's always stuff to be claimed. And the Empire Sprawl penalty, the Empire Sprawl from Props reduction from Pacifist means that you can spread your empire further. But I don't think it's really worth it. Stability gives you a bonus to absolutely everything, but absolutely everything on a planet, but on your planets. But yeah, I don't know. I do it. I play Pacifist sometimes for role-playing reasons, and the same as I do with Spiritualist, but it's not my favorite. Also, not being able to indiscriminately bomb people is a pain. No, it's not really. It doesn't affect things much. But the unrestricted wars, inability to use unrestricted wars, certainly changes the gameplay for pacifists, and is certainly a pain in the butt. And Xenophile, they like everyone, they get extra trade, and they have extra envoys. Envoys, I can never choose on a pronunciation for that. Extra envoys are useful, are great. Extra trade value is great. Everyone likes you better. You have to accept refugees, and you can't enslave or displace species. It's good. I like Xenophile. I choose it regularly. We're not going to choose it today. Jeez, I just about changed my mind then. No, if we're not gunning. We've not done anything that will boost our trade, so I won't choose that. I think these are still the right choices for this, for the traits that we chose earlier. But I am tempted. I do like Xenophile. Just that bonus opinion with other species is so huge. It allows you to make and break and fiddle your federations a whole lot more. But we can leave that for the time being. Alright, so our authority, democratic. We can't choose democratic because we've picked authoritarian ethic. You can't have an authoritarian democracy, apparently. So we're going to go for an oligarchy. Do we want to? Oh, the edicts have changed. Interesting. We're going to be learning together. Edicts have changed compared to how they were. Shivers. I didn't realize that was what this patch was. Okay, we're going to be learning together here, folks. Edicts are policies that your government can voluntarily put in place and then remove. And I don't know how they work. So this is going to be... I don't know how they work exactly now. I've read some stuff, but we'll find out together. Our civics... Oh, sorry, I should explain. Elections every 10 years. The person leading your empire will change. Oligarchy every 20 years. Dictatorial on death. And imperial upon death. A designated successor will take over. The reason that's cool is because you're not going to lose people. You're not going to lose your other leaders. They're not going to steal your leaders, your scientists, or your admirals, or your governors. Governors, admirals. I guess potentially they could choose. They could have a general take over. I don't know if I've ever seen that. Possibly. Where these three, that will draw upon your entire leader pool to choose someone new. This will draw upon... Yeah, all three of these will draw upon your leader pool to put a new leader in place once your leader dies, or in the case of these two, once your leader, once his election term is over. The big bonus for the big reason for choosing democratic is that you get a boost to your unity if you achieve the election promises that you've made. You make election promises every time they get randomized every time you have a new leader take over, or sorry, every election cycle there'll be new election promises, and you can get a boost to unity. But we don't need that. Oligarchy is more middle of the road, less likely for your leaders to get swapped out and than a democracy, and reduces our edict cost. I'm intrigued to see how this is going to work. This dictatorial allows you to have more edicts, and I'm equally intrigued to see how they work. But they can rule a lot longer than can oligarchies. I'm going to go for dictatorial, you know. I like oligarchic because you get a bit more influence, I believe. but I don't know that for a fact. Let's go dictatorial, because I want to make sure I have more capacity for more edicts. So our civics down the side here give us bonuses to our species, our empire rather. These can be changed at any time during the game. You can only have 2 of them at the beginning, but if you have enough influence spare, you can change these whenever you like, and they greatly change the way that your species plays. Corvée system, extra immigration, and reduced resettlement. It's basically that trait that what the hell was that trait? Basically nomadic on steroids, if I recall. 15 and 25. Nope, it's exactly nomadic. I've never chosen it in my life. I think it's weak. Cutthroat politics, edict cost reduction. That's always felt super weak to me as well. Same way as the cheap edict trait in here. What is the cheap edict trait in here? No, there isn't an edict trait. What the hell am I thinking? I don't know what I'm thinking. Oh, no, sorry, I've confused it with ethics attraction. Cheap edicts, you don't use them regularly enough for it to be worthwhile. Oh, no, it was here, wasn't it? Yeah. So, where this reduces your edict cost, you could reduce it further. Neither are worth it, I don't think. We'll see. The edict system has changed, so we'll see. Maybe I'm wrong now. Admiralty, faster fire rate, admiral level cap, and fleet command limit. I love it. All of those are great. You start the game with a fleet command limit of 20. This immediately puts it up to increases it by 10, meaning that your admirals are able to cast their effect over an extra 10 ships from the get-go. And that's just dandy. Nope, we don't like it, we don't like it. Efficient bureaucracy. I should explain further. Ship fire rate means that you do more damage with your ships, they're more effective, and that's just superb. And admiral level cap, in the same way as all of your leaders have a level cap from the beginning of the game. I believe it starts at 5 and you can't go past that. But admirals don't take a long time to get up to level 5 anyway. So that's a fairly weak bonus, but fire rate and command limit, both great. So, efficient bureaucracy, and the reason I'm particularly choosing it today is because it gels with the ship fire rate bonus that we have there. Efficient bureaucracy, yep, that's cool, kind of, but we've already got a penalty to that, we don't care. Administrative capacity and empire sprawl are opposites of one another, I should explain. So empire sprawl means that you get penalties to your tech and your resource efficiency and your leader costs, and basically is just a pain in the butt. And it's mitigated by admin efficiency. Hang on, am I saying that right? Yeah, admin capacity. Sorry, I'm thinking in Europa Universalis terms. So admin capacity reduces that. We don't really need that at the moment. We're going to be doing stuff to mitigate it with the way we build, so it should be fine. Consumer goods are goods that all of your population need, and that reduces how much the populations need. It's an okay choice, but I rarely choose it. This makes buildings and districts cheaper, and cheaper to maintain per month. It's useful, but I'll usually pick it up later. Mining guilds, useful, but I'll usually pick it up later. It's that's a big bonus. Ordinarily, your miners do 1 Sorry, ordinarily your miners do 4 minerals per population. And this makes that 5 per population. I think I'm right in saying that. Confirm that later on. So it's a nice bonus. It's a great bonus. And given that minerals are one of your base tier resources, that spreads right up through everything else that your species does. So it's kind of cool. Nationalistic zeal, cheaper claims and war exhaustion gain. Those are both good. Half tempted to get that, but I think we can do better. War exhaustion. This game's a bit different to the other. Oh no, you get war exhaustion in Europa Universalis. Basically, the longer a war goes on, the grumpier your people will get, and the more likely they are to push for peace. No, that's not true. That's true for Europa Universalis. In this game, war exhaustion doesn't have as much of an effect on the population, but once you hit a hard cap of 100 and stay of 100% war exhaustion and stay there, you're going to be able to force peace, or peace will be forced upon you. So getting a reduction in that is really nice. It means that you can have the time to do what you need to in a war. Yeah. It's strange. It's strange the way they've deployed war exhaustion in this game, but it's a nice thing to have control of. And claim influence means that the influence you spend to claim other people's stuff is reduced. Philosopher King, ruler level cap +2. That's kind of nice, but I pretty much only will choose it if I'm... I guess we could choose it. And it prevents... Well, it makes negative traits much less likely. We could choose that. That's pretty cool. I do like it for that reason. I hate having rulers and governors with negative traits. But if it was all leaders with less likely to get negative traits, then I'd be much more enthusiastic about it. As it is, rulers and governors are only 2 of the 5, 6 leader types you can have. So, no, we won't get that one. Police state is terrible. Most of the time you don't need to build enforcers, and a bonus of 1 unity for them. It's crap. It's really, really bad. Stability +5 is nice. Means that all of your planets are more likely to be chill and more likely to give you extra stuff. But it's for when you've only got 2 civic points, it's not worth it. Shadow Council, election influence cost -75. That's great if you've got a democracy, but otherwise pretty weak. The reason it's good for a democracy is because your leaders are changing all the time. Ruler pop resource. Your rulers don't put output much. They do put out resources, and you'll always have rulers on your planets, but the number of them is so low that it's not really worth it. I do it. I do it sometimes. I do like Shadow Council in the right circumstance. But not today, sir. Not today. Slaver guilds means that slave pops put out an extra 10%, but we're unlikely to use slaves because our base population is better at because they're strong, because they're very strong. They're better at doing slave jobs, so we're unlikely to use slaves in this. And the slave pop ratio means that you need to have a certain percentage of your population enslaved, if I recall. Yeah, I think so. Jeez. Can't quite remember. Warrior culture is a very strange one. It uses... They turn alloys, the most important resource in the game, arguably, into unity, which you don't need, amenities, which you don't need, and naval capacity, which is nice, but which you don't need. And does some extra damage for your armies. It's a very strange... And entertainers are so few and far between. It's a really strange pick. Let's choose it. I don't know if I've ever chosen it before. But changing alloys into important things, into unimportant things, I don't get it. Makes no sense to me. And so we're choosing it, because we're going to find out together. Our empire name is the Regime of Tyranthurus. The Regime of Tyranthurus. Our flag is that one right there and that one right there. Because I don't care about flags. Oh, yeah, I do. Sure, that's the color that's the color there that we're gonna be. Hang on, let's go for white and red. White on the bottom. White. Oh. Why is there no white on here? What? Okay. Well, in that case, that color and that color. Like us. Way cool. Ship appearance, we're going to choose fungoid ships. These ship designs are cool, I really like them. And I almost never pay any attention to them. And our ruler is going to be Rose Maple. That's a terrible name. Erica Maple. Rowan Garland? No. Huckleberry effing Oak. I like it. Imperator Huckleberry Oak. Perfect. Our color variants. Can we go for... Oh, we can have a blue head. Oh, very cool. Nope, but we've already chosen our map. Sorry, our flag. And our room is going to look like... Mushroom people map. I mean room. Oh, mushroom people. Do mushrooms live in caves? Nah. Mushroom people live in, that's what their architecture they like. So, we've now completed our species. Let's save this and go done. Oops. So what we can see once we've got our regime, our empire saved, is all of the details about our new people. We've chosen to be non-adaptive, unruly, intelligent natural engineers who are very strong. We are a martial dictatorship who have a warrior culture and distinguished Admiralty. We're Authoritarian, Militarist, and Materialist. We've got a gateway looming in our system, a dormant gateway looming in our system, and we really like tropical worlds. We've got a pretty flag that looks like that, and we look like that. That's been a mouthful, guys. I'm likely going to redo this because I feel that there were some things I could have done better. But in the short term, this will suffice. Please feel free to ask any questions that you want to about the various traits and ethics. But they'll become more clear. They'll become more clear as we go further into the game, and we can discuss them further at that point. In the meantime, we've got our new species. We'll see you on the next video when we actually play with them. See you then.